Spo, I know even after a win, you look at areas for improvement. The focus today on what you feel you needed to do better from game 2 was what?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things. I may list them all for you.
First couple that come to mind.
Look, it's going to be more of a mentality, mindset. It's the hardest thing to create during the playoffs is that sense of urgency and that edge. And they're going back to, friendly confines at home. The last time they played there, they put up 132 on Charlotte in a pressure-packed game. So we know what they're capable of there. They win a lot of games there, particularly the last 3 months. And it'll be comfortable for them, in front of their fans. And we're going to have to exceed, that level of urgency and edge.
How do you keep that level of urgency when you're up 2-0? How do you keep your players from getting complacent?
You just have to come in here and get to work. And our vets understand that, how hard it is to win in the playoffs. And then, each game can be a totally different adventure, with different storylines and everything. And, you can just look across, and if you're watching games, our guys are fans. You see it. Toronto played with an incredible amount of edge and urgency, last night. They weren't able to pull it off, but, they put themselves in a position to do that. And,
we've seen, this is unrelated, but we've seen obviously veterans through the league over many years who aren't playing a lot be unhappy. How much do you appreciate how Vic and Markieff have handled how things have unfolded the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, there's the human side of it. You have empathy for what they've had to go through. When I remember walking down to the locker room after Vic got injured last year, and you just knew that it was probably going to be something significant. But his positive spirit and attitude from that time in the training room to the next day to 6 months later, that's what fuels him and inspires all of us. That he's able to just keep an incredible positive outlook. And he's had to overcome quite a bit. There are a lot of players that probably would have just set this aside till next year. But he's made himself vulnerable and available, for us. And so you see how quickly things can change. All of a sudden, Caleb played and had really significant, important minutes in that second half. I anticipate the same thing will happen for Vic and Markieff. Markieff's story also has been, probably frustrating. It's something that shouldn't have happened. And there's only a 1-game suspension for that, and he had to miss months of time. It makes no sense. But he's handled that with great, grace and class. And he's got himself in shape and ready and available. And one way or another, he's gonna contribute. His voice is very good, in our group. And he's in a similar situation with the Lakers before, and all of a sudden when he was called upon, he was ready and was able to produce.
Having said all that, how much enjoyment do you guys watch at the end of practice? Guys are still in the deck and still going, even after practice.
Yeah, it's a competitive group, and those guys are keeping themselves ready. There's nothing like doing it, other than doing it with competition. So they're having fun with that, but then they get serious about it. Iron sharpens iron.
For the fourth quarter, it seemed like Atlanta finally gained a little offensive traction. They were playing a lot of misses. So is there anything that jumped out to you about that stretch?
Yeah, they have great shooting. They have very talented players. You can't last a whole season, 82 games, and be the second-rated offense without developing some really good habits. You have to have talent as well, and it's not just Trae Young. They have a lot of other guys that can really hurt you, and you saw that, with Bogdanovich. We had some really good defense possessions on him, and he still scored. Hunter was able to get going. Collins, in only his second game back, presents a little bit of a different challenge with his ability to score. And Herder, and on down the line, they've got a lot of weapons, and they can score in bunches, and that's what they did to us in the fourth. I thought we played pretty well, and yet they still went on a 15-2 run, and that's what they're capable of. And I mentioned that earlier. They put 133 or 132 on Charlotte in a really important play-in game that makes you take notice.
You've worked with Jay Wright in the past. Kind of surprisingly announced his retirement yesterday. What do you think of him as a coach and his legacy?
I love Jay, and I was really happy to get to know him. This summer, quickly became one of my favorite guys in this profession. He's just very normal. He's humble. He's had as much success as anybody in this profession. He's a Hall of Famer, and yet you can just hang out with him and get lunch, and and you just feel like you're talking to a normal guy. There's no pretense to him or ego or anything. I was surprised like everybody, and I'm just, I'm happy that he's able to make a decision like this with decisiveness and whatever he has, planned next. He's a special human being, so he's going to find happiness doing whatever he's doing.
Obviously, it was kind of a symptom of the early foul trouble, but what did you like from the PJ at the 5 groupings, and is that something you might explore using later?
It might, you got to read the game. Whatever's necessary. It might be a totally different game up in Atlanta, game 3. But it's not the first time he's done it for us. We've basically had kind of every rotation lineup and, found success in a lot of different ways this season. So I think that was important to us. So when we had to go to it early on, it wasn't like panic and, we haven't seen it. We've done that with him there. He can guard bigger guys. He's smart. He's an instant trigger for us on the other end, and provided some spacing, as well for Jimmy. So we'll see.
Suppose Jimmy gets tired. Like, does he ever come in after a performance like that and say, I'm hurting or I'm tired, or does he tell you?
He doesn't tell me that. No, he would never say that to me. I've seen him take his body to levels that very few in this profession have gone to, particularly in the finals. He took himself to the brink. But that's what kind of competitor he is. He's in elite shape. I mean, he really dedicates himself to making sure he's physically, ready to be able to handle big responsibilities, a lot of minutes, two-way basketball. That's not something you can just turn on. I mean, that's 12 months of work every year for years. All right, thank you.
Thank you.